For this deep dive, you really weren't kidding about all the lion material. We've got scientific papers, ancient myths, like everything.
Well, I can't resist a good research rabbit hole, especially when it comes to lions. I mean, they're practically made for a deep dive, right?
You've definitely convinced me. So where do we even start with all this? What's our main goal today?
Hmm. I think our mission is to really uncover what makes lions so captivating to us. So we'll look at their evolution, their biology, their social structures, even how they show up in culture.
I'm already hooked, and I have to admit, just skimming these articles, I learned something. Did you know lions weren't always just in Africa and Asia?
That's right. Millions of years ago, they were roaming all over the place, even North and South America. They're part of the Panthera genus with tigers and leopards, that whole group, going back something like 1.8 million years.
Wow, okay, that's kind of blowing my mind.
Yeah.
So how did we get to the lions we know today, the African and the Asiatic lions?
Well, over time, climates changed, prey species moved around, so lion populations got isolated, and that led to these subspecies developing adapted to those specific spots. But sadly, their range, it's shrunk so much, especially for the Asiatic lion, which is critically endangered now, just in a tiny area in India.
It really makes you think about how fragile things are.
Yeah.
Speaking of fragile, I've always been amazed by them as hunters. Those documentaries where they take down like huge animals, it's just incredible. What makes them such good predators?
They're physical adaptations, really. Just their build, all muscle, powerful limbs, especially their forelegs. I mean, the force they can bring down is incredible. Imagine taking down a zebra or even a buffalo with that.
It's hard to even picture. But it's not just strength, is it? They've got those incredible senses too.
You're right. Their senses are like perfectly made for hunting, especially at night. Their night vision is 6 times better than ours. And their hearing, they can hear prey from miles away. And then that sense of smell for tracking, even finding water. It's amazing.
It's like they have like superpowers. And speaking of impressive features, the mane, I mean, it's got to be one of the most iconic things in the animal world. But it's not just for show, is it?
You're catching on. It's a signal of health, good genes, even how strong a fighter they are. A thick, dark mane means high testosterone, which, well, females find attractive.
So it's like a big advertisement for like their genetic quality.
Exactly, but there's a trade-off. A big mane in a hot climate. That's going to make you overheat. So you see variations in how big or thick they are. Depends on the region.
It's like they're balancing, looking good to attract a mate, but also just surviving the heat. Nature's full of those little compromises, isn't it?
For sure. And speaking of survival, something that sets lions apart is how social they are. They live in these prides, these family groups, and it's unique among big cats.
Yeah, watching them interact, it's fascinating. You see the hierarchy, the cooperation. It's like a whole little society, right?
Exactly. You'll typically see 2 to 4 adult males, 5 to 10 related females, and their cubs. And there's a real division of labor in that pride.
Okay, break it down for me. Who does what?
So the females are the main hunters. They work together, like seriously coordinated to bring down prey way bigger than them. And they share the work of raising the cubs, too.
Wow, sounds like a busy job. What about the males?
Their main thing is defending the territory. And those territories can be huge, like 100 square miles.
Whoa, patrolling that much land, I can't even imagine.
It's tough work, so they often team up. Males will form coalitions, usually brothers or cousins, to increase their odds of defending, protecting the pride.
It's like a lion brotherhood all working together.
Totally. And that cooperation, it extends to how they hunt, too.
Right. Their teamwork during a hunt is amazing to see. And they go after some big prey like zebras, wildebeest, even buffalo. What are some of their tactics?
They're a mix of strength and strategy. A lot of times, it's stalking and ambushing. Some lions will drive the prey towards others that are hidden, using that element of surprise.
So it's not just speed and power. There's intelligence, coordination, all of that.
Absolutely. They can hit 50 miles per hour in short bursts, sure, but they're not the fastest out there. It's more about the strategy, working together, understanding their prey.
That's like a high-stakes chess game almost.
That's a great way to put it. And all that coordinating wouldn't work without communication. And lions, it's not just about roaring.
Ooh, tell me more.
Yeah.
I've always been fascinated by how they communicate. What else do they do? Yeah, the roars are definitely impressive, traveling for miles like that. But what else?
Well, they've got this whole range of sounds, growls, snarls, they even hiss. And this might surprise you, they purr.
Lions purr. Wait, seriously, I can't even imagine what that sounds like.
Haha. It's not quite the same as your house cat, of course. It's more like a low rumble, a sign they're content. You'll hear it when they're grooming each other, or a mother with her cubs.
Oh, that's kind of sweet. So it's about bonding, like strengthening those social ties.
Exactly. And then there's scent marking. They use urine and scent glands to, well, mark their territory, leaving messages for other lions.
Like their own version of, like, lion social media. Haha,
Yeah.
this is my turf, stay away.
Exactly. And then, of course, they use a lot of body language, a tail flick, a head rub, even a playful swat. All those mean different things.
It's amazing how much they can say without, making a sound. Kind of like how much we communicate without words. Right.
Hmm.
Maybe we're not so different from lions after all.
You might be right about that. Now, all this communication, it's especially important when raising cubs. Did you know lion cubs? They have a really high mortality rate.
Oh, that's sad. I know raising young in the wild is tough, but what are some of the dangers for lion cubs specifically?
Well, you've got other predators, of course, hyenas, leopards. But one of the biggest threats is, well, other lions. When a new male takes over a pride, he might kill the cubs that are already there. It's called infanticide. Basically, it's his way of making sure the females will mate with him and raise his offspring.
That's pretty brutal, honestly. It's tough to hear about.
It is a harsh side to how lion society works. But the females, they've got strategies to try and protect their cubs. They often synchronize their breeding so the cubs are all born around the same time. That way, it's harder for one male to get rid of all of them.
So it's like safety in numbers. The more cubs, the better their chances.
Exactly. And the females, they're fiercely protective, often risking themselves to defend their cubs.
It's really powerful, that maternal instinct, isn't it?
It really is. And it shows how important that pride structure is. They work together, share the nursing, the protection. Like they say, it takes a village to raise a child, even for lions.
And as those cubs grow up, they become part of this amazing ecosystem. They play a crucial role in keeping the savanna in balance, right?
Whoa. You got it. Lions, they're apex predators. And that means their presence has a huge impact on the whole food web.
Okay, so walk me through it. What's their impact on the ecosystem?
So they prey on herbivores like zebras, wildebeest, gazelles. That keeps those populations in check, prevents overgrazing, and that helps keep the plant life diverse and healthy.
So they're like, what, the gardeners of the savanna, keeping everything trimmed?
I like that analogy. And then the leftovers from their kills, those provide food for scavengers like hyenas, vultures, jackals. So they're supporting a whole network of animals.
It really shows you how everything's connected, huh? It's not just lions hunting to survive. They're part of this bigger picture.
Exactly. Their presence is a sign of a healthy ecosystem. When lions are thriving, the whole environment benefits.
But, and this is the sad part, we know lion populations are in trouble. Their numbers are down. They're listed as vulnerable. It's heartbreaking to think about all the things they're up against.
It's definitely a serious situation, and unfortunately, a lot of it comes down to us, to humans.
Yeah, we've been expanding into their territory, which causes conflict, habitat loss. What are some of the biggest threats to lions today?
Habitat loss is huge. As our population grows, we push into their areas, and they lose their hunting grounds. They're forced closer to us, which often leads to, well, conflict.
The classic human-wildlife conflict, right?
Exactly. And then there's poaching. Lions are killed for their body parts, which are used in some traditional medicine.
That's just awful. To kill something so magnificent for parts, it seems so pointless.
It's a real tragedy. And it's complicated, It's
Wow.
driven by poverty, lack of awareness, and the demand for those products.
So it's not just stopping the poachers, it's about tackling the reasons behind it.
You got it. And that's where conservation efforts are so important. There are a lot of people and organizations working really hard to protect lions and their habitats.
That's good to hear. Sometimes it feels so overwhelming, these big problems. But it's inspiring to know people are out there fighting for lions. What are some of the most effective things being done?
Well, protected areas are crucial. Things like national parks and reserves. Those give lions safe havens where they can thrive without human interference.
That makes sense. But what about the areas outside those protected zones?
That's where community-based conservation comes in. These programs work with the local communities, trying to reduce conflict between people and lions. Maybe helping farmers build predator-proof enclosures for their livestock, or educating people about lion behavior so they can coexist more peacefully.
So it's about finding that balance.
Yeah.
Respecting the needs of both people and lions.
Exactly. Research is also super important. Scientists are studying lion populations, their movements, genetics, what threats they face. All that helps inform how we can protect them. The more we understand, the better.
It's cool to see all these different approaches, makes me hopeful. But with all the challenges, there's something about lions that just inspires us, makes us want to fight for them. Why do you think they hold such a special place for us in human culture?
That's a question I've thought about a lot. I think at our core, we're drawn to their power, that majesty, that wildness they embody. It's a force of nature we admire, but also, kind of.
Fair. It's
Oh.
that mix, right? The awe and the respect.
Yeah. And think about how often lions show up in our stories. Myths, art, cave paintings too, like The Lion King. They've been capturing our imagination forever.
They often represent courage, strength, nobility.
Right. And those qualities, I think they resonate with us on a deep level. We see something of ourselves in lions, a connection to that wildness, which maybe we've lost touch with in our modern lives.
Like they remind us of, that wild part within us.
I think so. And that's why protecting them is so important. They're more than just animals. They symbolize something bigger, something we need.
Well said. Thinking about all this cultural stuff, it makes me think back to something you mentioned, lion purrs. I gotta admit, I'm still trying to picture it. A big, majestic lion making these soft little purring sounds. It's hard to imagine.
Haha, I know. It does seem kind of strange. But those purrs, even though they're quiet, they show a tenderness, a vulnerability that we don't always associate with these apex predators.
It's like even the fiercest creatures have a soft side.
For sure. And maybe that's another reason we're so drawn to them. They're both powerful and graceful, fierce and tender, complex, full of contradictions, just like us, really.
The deeper we go into this lion exploration, the more I realize how much we can learn from them.
Totally agree. There are so many lessons in how they live, their social structures, how they face challenges.
Like their hunting strategies, for example, the way they cooperate, coordinate, use each other's strengths, all for that shared goal.
It's a powerful reminder about teamwork, not just in the wild, but for us too. Imagine what we could achieve if we were that good at collaborating.
Absolutely. And then you have the lioness, that fierce dedication to her cubs, the danger she'll face to protect them, nurture them.
It's a testament to the power of, well, a mother's love, what she'll do to ensure her offspring survive.
It reminds you that sometimes real strength comes from that place of deep love, commitment.
And their adaptability. Don't forget that. They've evolved to thrive in this challenging environment, predators, scarce resources.
They've learned to conserve energy, strategize, make the most of what they have. It's a lesson in resilience, resourcefulness, something we could all use a bit of.
No doubt. And the biggest lesson, maybe, is that interconnectedness of everything. Lions, they're not isolated. They're part of this whole system. Their well-being is linked to the savanna's health.
It makes you think our actions have these ripple effects. We have to consider our impact on the natural world.
Protecting lions, it's not just about them, it's about biodiversity, balance in the ecosystem, a healthy planet for all of us.
Well said. It seems like this lion deep dive, it's led us to a pretty big realization. Our fate is tied to theirs.
And hopefully, realizing that will inspire us to act, support conservation, speak up for their protection, make sure their roar keeps echoing for a long time to come.
It's amazing how much we've learned. And now I kind of feel this sense of responsibility. Like, what can we actually do to help make sure lions survive?
I'm glad you asked that, because there are things, and they can make a difference. First off, supporting those conservation organizations, they're the ones out there doing the hard work, protecting habitats, dealing with human-wildlife conflicts.
So donating to them, that's a good starting point.
Definitely. Even a little bit helps. And a lot of them, they have ways to get involved beyond money, too. Volunteering, spreading the word on social media. Some even have, citizen science projects.
I like that citizen science. It makes it feel like anyone can be part of it. What about stuff we can do just, in our daily lives?
Being a conscious consumer is huge. When you're shopping, look for sustainable products. Avoid the ones that contribute to habitat loss or, that illegal wildlife trade.
Makes sense. Like voting with your wallet, supporting the right things.
Exactly. And when you travel, think about ecotourism. Those are initiatives that benefit both the local communities and lion conservation. Your travel dollars can really do some good.
So it's about being mindful, even on vacation, choosing experiences that support conservation.
You got it. It all adds up, All those little choices, they can make a real difference.
It's good to know we can do something, even from far away, to help lions.
And don't underestimate the power of just talking about it. Sharing what you've learned with friends, family, get those conversations going, raise awareness.
Yeah, sometimes just talking about something is enough to, like, plant a seed.
Right,
Yeah.
absolutely. You never know who you might inspire.
This deep dive has been incredible. We've gone from the beginning, evolution, biology, how they live, even their place in our cultures. We've talked about the tough stuff, the threats, but also the hope, the people working so hard to protect them.
I agree. It's been great exploring the world of lions with you, and I really hope our listeners are feeling that sense of wonder, but also that responsibility.
Because ultimately, their future's up to us, isn't it?
It is. We'll have links in the show notes so you can learn more about lion conservation, find ways to get involved.
Remember, any action, big or small, it contributes to a brighter future for these amazing animals. Let's make sure they're still roaring out there for a long, long time to come.
Uh-huh.
Until next time, keep exploring.